What if the sky is talking to us? What if the moon and the sun and the stars are showing us signs from heaven and we're just not taking notice? That's what's been happening. Throughout history, there have been rare years where we've had blood moons, where the moon turns blood red, and it appears in clusters in certain years. And when it appears in a cluster of 2 per year, it's called a tetrad. And that's 4 in a row. And in several of these windows of time, something major has happened involving Israel or the Christian world. And we're going to go over what those things are in detail in this video. Coincidence? Pattern? Is it a prophetic sign? Well, let's look at the years and you tell me. In 1493 and in 1494, a blood moon, a tetrad, appeared just after the Jews were expelled from Spain in 1492 under King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Thousands of Jews were forced to flee during the Spanish Inquisition. And 1 year later, the heavens turned red multiple times, the moon did. The people scattered and began to spread across all nations. And then in 1949 and in 1950, another tetrad appeared, right after the rebirth of the State of Israel in 1948. For nearly 2,000 years, there had been no Jewish nation. And then suddenly, after World War II and the Holocaust, Israel was restored. The blood moons followed during the War of Independence era. In 1967 and in 1968, yet another tetrad, which is 4 blood moons following in 4 years, 2 in each year. The amazing thing about this is that when these blood moons happen, it was always on a Jewish holiday around the Jewish holiday Easter or Passover. It falls right in the time when God had commanded his people to celebrate either Purim, which we're having one in a couple of days on Purim. But in 1967 and 1968, this happened again. And it was during the same period of time that when the 6-day war of Israel took place. And against overwhelming odds, Israel regained control of Jerusalem, including the Old City and the Western Wall. And for the first time in centuries, Jerusalem was back under Jewish control. Again, the red moons marked the skies. And then again in 2014 and 2015, 4 more blood moons appeared, all falling on major Jewish feast days, Passover and Tabernacles. And during that same period, tensions in Israel increased. Israel escalated into global instability, and the war talks increased, and conversations about prophecy surged worldwide, because in this time we had internet and everyone could talk about it. But God said that in the last days the moon would turn blood red and the sun would not give its light. And one interesting fact about those tetrads was they also were followed by solar eclipses. Remember the solar eclipses that crossed the United States and did the X, and then the other one went that way? So those tetrads were marked by solar eclipses. So now let's go further back. In 331 BC, ancient historians recorded a red lunar solar eclipse just before Alexander the Great defeated Persia at the Battle of Guantanamo, a turning point that reshaped the Middle East and directly affected Judea and Israel. And in 168 BC, it was the time of the Maccabean revolt, when Jewish worship was under attack. Eclipses were recorded in that region during that upheaval, and eventually it led to the rededication of the temple. Now we celebrate that time as Hanukkah. Yes, Hanukkah came as a result of the blood moons. God says, I've given you sun, moon, and stars for signs and for seasons. What does the sign do? It points you to something. It announces that something is coming. A stop sign is announcing that you're coming up to a stop, etc. A caution sign is you're coming into a place where you need to take caution. So God gives us these for signs. And in 5 BC, 5 years before Christ, a lunar eclipse occurred close to the death of King Herod, the same ruler connected to the early life of Jesus, the one that tried to kill Jesus. That eclipse helped historians anchor the timeline for Jesus Christ's birth. So yes, even the birth of Jesus was marked by blood moons. Are blood moons causing these events? No. Historically, civilizations have always seen eclipses as markers and signs in the heavens that something significant was unfolding on the earth. Genesis says that lights in the sky were given for signs and for seasons. And Joel speaks of the moon also when he says that it will be turning blood red. And Jesus mentioned signs in the sun, moon, and stars also. He said that the moon would turn blood and the sun would not give its light. So whether you see them as prophecies, coincidences, or cosmic symbolism, the pattern is undeniable. Some of the most pivotal moments involving Israel and the biblical world happened in the years that were marked by blood red moons. So here's the real question. Are the heavens just a clock? Are they telling a story like God said? I think they're telling a story like God said. But in the comments, what do you think this next blood moon that's coming on Purim, March the 2nd, right at the time where we just bombed Iran, and Iran refused to come to the table negotiating for the nuclear program, and we're sending all our troops over there? Could it be the mark of another war? For God says, when they say peace and safety, yet sudden destruction shall come. Let's pray that God's will be done and that the persecution that's happening over there will stop. One thing I can say for sure, Israel will regain all the land that they've lost, because God is not a lie. He told them that these are the borders and the boundaries which I give you. So they will regain all their land. Follow for more deep dive history and biblical timelines. I'm all things Jesus and all things the Word. Tell me what you think about what's coming in the comments.